exploded his
tag team explosion.
Wow.
The wait is finally over. After a year of speculation and debate about who was actually in the cast of the show and what it was going to be all about, Amazon Prime has finally decided to drop the Gen V trailer on our heads, and it's everything to expect from anything related to the boys, and then some. We've got corridor ski-offs, off-campus parties, exploding genitalia, the hallmarks of an Eric Kripke production, but we know you didn't click on this video for that. You clicked on this video because you want the lowdown on what to expect from the Supes of this spin-off series, which is supposedly going to have major implications on the main series as well, according to the creators of the franchise. Now, we know, GU is a college meant for training superheroes, so practically everyone we saw in the trailer must be a Supe if they're young adults. But which of these young adults are going to have a massive impact on the story based off the trailer alone is not something that is immediately obvious. Well, we're here to tell you exactly that, so buckle in because this is every Supe that appeared in the Boys Gen V trailer explored. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. A-Train. The A-Train is about to set up shop at GU Central, baby. The very first shot of the Gen V trailer shows Jesse T. Usher's divisive character gearing up for his career-breaking race against his Season 1 rival Shockwave, which is likely going to be part of some kind of in-universe documentary or GU study material, given that we also saw shots of Maeve and Homelander before Clancy Brown's character, Richard Brickenhoff, hits us with "the heroes aren't made by their powers, they're made by their sacrifices" line. Rich Brake is being positioned as a staff member at Godolphin University, and likely a high-ranking one too, given that promotional material for Gen V has featured him as an author of not one but 3 academic textbooks about Supes. But that doesn't make the opening shot of the Gen V trailer a bait, because towards the end of the trailer, A-Train actually does show up at Godolphin University. He's wearing a suit and a cap, so we're assuming he's there just for a press run, and we can also see Ashley in the background. So we know she's still staying on top of things per Homelander's commands, but it's unclear as to what this press run might be related to. It could be about adding one of the GU graduates to the 7, about finding the next black person to join the premier super team, or A-Train could just be there to promote his new gimmick of "is African American, loves African Americans." But there might be something more to his appearance in the series than simple media appearances. Earlier in the trailer, we see 2 GU students trying to get one of the popular kids on campus to endorse A-Train's energy drink, which gets shall we say, less than positive review from the party concerned. And then there's also the fact that Homelander has pretty much become evil Superman Supreme ever since his public murder of a protester got him validation from his support base instead of reprehension. Now, A-Train fits into all this, given his recent face turn will be interesting to see, and Gen V seems to be the bridging point that fills in the gap between his current tweener status and the full-on babyface hero we know he has the potential to be. Cindy. This is quite literally a blink and you'll miss a cameo from the 11 of the Boys world, but she is in there and she seems to be set to play a major role in the series. Ever since her introduction in Season 2, Cindy has been one of the most popular side characters from the franchise because of the ambiguity surrounding her identity and her current status. She was a captive at Sage Grove Center, who was clearly brought there as a patient with a mental illness and then experimented upon heinously by Vought International. Their work on her backfired on them when the Boys broke into Sage Grover and managed to rescue all the patients, but really, it was all because of Cindy. During the confrontation between Sage Grove security and the Boys, someone left Cindy's reinforced steel cell door open, and she proceeded to stage the biggest prison break in the series yet. Her back tanked every bullet shot her way. She withstood a Stormfront shockwave and is now on the loose somewhere in the countryside where she is hitchhiking and killing for a living. Cindy was shown in barely a couple of frames in this trailer, and you can only really see her if you slow it all the way down. But she's there, and she seems to lie at the heart of whatever conspiracy the introductory brief for Gen V is talking about. We'll have to wait till September 29th to find out if we're right on this one, but one thing that is pretty clear is that GU is going to be all about competition, and in the ugliest way possible. And at the heart of all that drama is gonna be this guy.
Drunk from last night.
Perfect, just take a sip, say Turbo Rush cures hangovers.
I wouldn't pour this on my if it cured cancer.
Andre Anderson. Chance Perdomo plays a Magneto-inspired teenage Supe, whose Supe name is unknown, but his real name in the series is Andre Anderson. As a second-generation Supe, Andre has a lot of expectations riding on his shoulders. We'll get to who his dad is in a minute, but Andre seems to be going to play the role of A-Train in Gen V, as in he's going to be the sneaky arrogant of the group. Remember how we said a GU student trashed A-Train's drink instead of promoting it like his fellow students wanted him to? Well, that student was Andre, and that isn't the only thing from the trailer that suggests a darker, more nefarious side to him. The first shot with him in it shows his face covered in shock and his white sweatshirt covered in blood, which could have happened because of the series' protagonist's abilities, but it's GU and quite literally anything is possible here. He is also later seen encouraging the protagonist to go on an off-campus adventure with some of the students to have fun, which always means you're being set up for something major in this world. If you went through the trailer frame by frame like we did, we don't know why you would honestly. You might have also noticed that Andre Anderson sits at the top of the student rankings list at GU. So a #1 ranked student with superhero pedigree and an attitude to match, that's the perfect recipe for a character with mixed intentions for us. And what Chance Perdomo's character does in the series will be crucial to the overall franchise, given that he's one of the few characters that are featured in the final bit of the trailer. We've already seen him use his powers in the series by doing a cool bottle pull and then flipping over some cars towards the end in what appears to be a major fight scene that will have massive impact on the narrative. But what his Supe name will be remains a mystery. We don't want to say that Vought will be lazy enough to call him something like Magnetism, but they did have a shockwave in a supersonic, so we can never be too sure. What we can be sure of though is that this story is going to be a bit different from The Boys, because unlike Starlight, the protagonist of Gen V has a past with a true side of Vought International and not the side they show to the world.
Did you find that kind of courage? I'm superhuman, right? We're made of steel.
Marie Moreau. Gen V's lead character, Marie Moreau, has actually already appeared once in The Boys, but as always, you've had to have your detective glasses on to spot her appearance. When Huey goes to the Red River Institute in Season 3, where he learns about his then-boss's true identity and her connection to Vought, there's a computer running in the backdrop that shows information about the residents of that Supe orphanage. One of those residents was Marie Moreau. This immediately sets her apart from the true protagonist of The Boys, Starlight, and that the latter at least had a parent around for her formative years, no matter how abusive that might have been for her personally. Marie has seemingly never had that, and that comes with its own set of problems, which is what we're assuming the show is going to focus on. What it will also show us is how she comes to terms with the reality of what being a Supe really means, because it's pretty clear that she's being set up as a parallel to Annie. They even gave her the training montage moment that Annie has had at the start of the very first episode of The Boys in the trailer itself, and there are other things that establish their similarities pretty well. Marie is tipped to be one of the top freshmen at GU according to what a teacher tells her in the trailer, but she wants to become the first black woman in the 7, and Gen V will be a journey about her figuring out that that dream is actually a nightmare worse than most nightmares. We've already touched on how Magnetism, yes, we're sticking with it, seems to be running a game on her by trying to be friendly to her in the trailer, and that moment occurs right after Marie is warned that she has a target on her back. I mean, when you're ranked number 8 in its student rankings list in your first year on campus, that's pretty much like painting a red dot on yourself at GU. But unlike Starlight, who had to work through the trauma of the harsh realities of the real superhero society, it appears that Marie would be able to cope with it much better. The genital explosion we mentioned in the intro was caused by yours truly, and the rest of the trailer 2 positions Jazz Sinclair's leading lady as a badass. Take No Name's kind of woman. We've already seen the inbuilt gore that comes with her rather gruesome power of blood manipulation in a trailer. Now we want to know how and why she got those powers, and what does it all mean for the overall franchise. Emma Shaw. If you're one of those people who felt bad for Termite's tragic passing by a Homelander's boots in Season 3, then you might find a ray of hope in the Gen V trailer, because not only do we have a shape-shifting hero once again this time, she plays a central role in the series. Emma Shaw is a tiny Supe whose superpower is pretty similar to Termite's with a small caveat. He could use his powers to shrink to small sizes. She uses her powers to increase her size to normal. Yep, apparently Emma Shaw's normal lifestyle includes spending time as a literally animated miniature figure, complete with her own training ring and gear and everything. The first time we see her in the trailer is when Marie comes across her walking through the university, and according to the information we've received on her, she's also an in-universe YouTube influencer, which once again makes sense. As far as her role in Gen V goes, it looks like she's going to be Marie's bestie or something in that capacity, because the one scene where we see her venting about the craziness of GU is to a blonde-haired girl whom we're pretty sure is Emma. She's also given the final stretch close-up treatment, so saying that her character will be crucial to the plot of Gen V is kind of stating the obvious. As for her Supe name, we really hope the producers moved away from the insect-themed naming from their pint-sized soups, because termite was funny, but something like maggot would just be pushing the boundaries of likable comedy. And speaking of pushing boundaries,
his tag team explosion.
Whoa.
Riordan Lee. When London Thor was announced as being a part of the main Gen V cast, our mind went 1,000 different ways, thinking about what role would suit her perfectly. Never in a million years did we think she'd be making gender swapping a superpower, yet here we are, and the possibilities with this kind of an ability in terms of storytelling and sheer drama are practically endless. She placed the character of Riordan Lee alongside Derek Liu. And we learned this through a scene from the trailer where London's Thor grabs Marie Moreau's hand as if to stop her from going away, and by the time Jazz's character turns to face her, Derek Liu is standing there instead. Riordan is going to play an interesting role in the story, not just because of their unique abilities and the perspectives that come with it, but also because so far they've been portrayed as perhaps the most mysterious character of the whole bunch. This especially occurs at the off-campus party, where they transition from male to female, then seemingly back to male as they prowl the nightclub with Andre and his squad. Riordan Lee might end up becoming a sort of a double agent kind of character, because we do see them hearing out Marie's croc explosion story, but then in the final close-up we see them clearly walking away from Marie as if something major had just happened. Another intriguing fact about Riordan's character is that they're ranked 5th on the student rankings, 3 places above Marie and 4 places below Andre. Gen V was described as a Hunger Games-style popularity contest when it was first announced, so don't be surprised if Riordan's friendship with Marie seems fishy from the get-go, because at the end of the day, it's every Supe for themselves at GU. Ice Breath. This was more of a cameo, and we don't know if this dude is actually going to end up impacting the main storyline or is just a filler fun character, but Ice Breath has the potential to be the Frozone of the boys. We see him very briefly in one of the corridors of GU preparing a ski ramp with his literal breath, which seems to be directly inspired from that iconic Incredibles character. If Gen V goes all in on the reference, you can also expect Ice Breath to have at least one guaranteed funny or terrifying moment in the series where he runs out of body moisture and cannot produce the ice breath that is his trademark because of it. It's unclear whether he'll have a major role in the story like the rest of the cast, given that this guy just gives off extra energy in the trailer, but we will not be complaining if we got some classic Frozone dialogues being reworked into the world of the boys, like the time he drank water from a cup and froze an officer and the bullet he fired, or when he argued with his wife about his super suit. Polarity. This guy is the reason why Ice Breath was in the trailer in the first place. Turns out he made that ski ramp for Polarity to slide down belly first. Sean Patrick Thomas's character is a former B-tier Supe with similar powers to his son Andre's, but expect that to play a vital role in the latter's characterization. We've seen very few Supe parents in the Boys franchise, and none at all if you guys have seen the animated spin-off show Diabolical. So it will be very interesting to see the dynamic between father and son play out. Polarity's first shot in the trailer makes him out to be a cool dude who can get down with the kids when he needs to, but his second shot is more worthy of a discussion because his face is out of focus as the camera pans in on his son during what is, we're assuming, a felicitation event of some kind at GU. We see a few shots of this event during the trailer with Marie turning heads in her all-white outfit, but Andre looks decidedly miffed throughout it all, and there is strong possibility that it's because of his dad. The pressure that comes with being a second-generation Supe is something we learn through the tale of Nubian and Nubia from Diabolical, where their daughter had to go out and actually provoke one of their old enemies into attacking her so her parents would reconcile, only to realize that her parents are too messed up to work things out between themselves in a healthy manner, let alone raise her properly too. Polarity's role in Gen V is almost likely going to be an extension of this same struggle, but from the parents' perspective, because competition at GU is cutthroat at its weakest and downright disastrous at its strongest. This is why it never hurts for your kid to be the top-ranked student at university, or if they end up dating a guy from college that is earmarked for success, which is what our next entry does.
A few of us are going off campus. Let's have a good time.
Kate Dunlap. Kate Dunlap is the Jean Grey to the Cyclops of GU, or rather, the Queen Maid to GU's Homelander. And that is the position that she probably both craves and hates. As the girlfriend of Godolphin heartthrob Golden Boy, Kate probably gets more than her fair share of flack at school and for just being with him, and that's to not even make a mention of the problems he himself might be creating for her. We see her a few times in the party and awards show scenes in the trailer, but the most intriguing appearances by Kate has to be the shot where she and Andre are creeping into what looks like a dorm room with an extremely concerned look on their faces. Our best guess so far is that they were there to cover up yet another disaster zone created by GU's Golden Boy, or that they were on their way to discovering something rather shocking about him. Both routes don't end well for anyone in our heads, and the reason we call Kate the Jean Grey to Goldie Cyclops is because her official character descriptions label her as a telepath, which creates a unique situation between her and her beau that Maeve never had with Homelander. Usually, Homie was the one who'd had Maeve's number on everything because he had perfected the art of detecting lies or treachery by just reading someone's heartbeat. But in this instance, the dynamics seem to be reversed. It will be very interesting to see whether Kate takes the Maeve route from Season 3, or if she takes inspiration from her cynical Season 1 self. Either way, drama is about to ensure with this character, as it is with the next one. Sam Riordan. We have no official word on just what kind of powers Asa Gurman's character is going to have in Gen Z, but there are two things about Sam Riordan that immediately stand out from the trailer. The first is the fact that the most ominous line in the trailer is delivered by his character at about the midway point through the Gen V teaser. After giving us a taste of high life at Godolphin University, the trailer's tone shifts completely into that of a murder mystery. When we hear this line, "There are dangerous, evil people at that school." This line plays as we see combat boots walking on a blood-soaked floor, followed by Marie opening a secret door and then another doorway, showing us a forested region where there was supposed to be a storage area of some sort. This would give you the impression that Sam is one of the good guys at GU, because he's clearly warning the protagonist here, right? Well, it appears not, because later on in the trailer we see Marie using her blood bands, for the lack of a better term, to treat Asa Gurman's face like they were in a dog collar match or something. It's possible that Sam is more like the Deep in that he's just an emotional goofball who doesn't know what's right and wrong if it hit him in the face. But as is with the rest of the characters on this list, we can only confirm this after the series comes out. This is doubly true for the next entry in this list. Plague Hand. For a brief moment in the trailer, we can see a hand come out of what looks like a solitary chamber in that forested region we spoke of earlier. This hand was covered in infectious markings that looked like its owner had contracted the plague, hence the name of this entry. We do not know who this hand belonged to. It could belong to that mystery kid we saw standing in a forest room, their face covered by fog, or it could belong to one of the students that Godolphin's resident Dr. Edison Cardosa had worked his magic on. Whatever that might be, either way, it belongs to a Supe kid for sure, hence its entry on our list. We expect Plague Hand to be a major plot point in Gen V, especially in its closing stages, if it's related to what we think it's related to. But if it's also just a rather gnarly superpower that some kid received thanks to the magic of Compound V, we'd consider that as a win too. Being able to infect people in your vicinity with perhaps the most deadly agent of death in human history? That's exactly the kind of insane ability we expect the voice writer's room to come up with, and we can't wait to see if that is indeed the case. Alexander Calvert's character. The Edge of 17 Stars role in Gen V hasn't been disclosed yet, and that might be for a good reason, because Alexander Calvert's character might be being set up as a major antagonist for the franchise going forward. We see his character show up in at least 2 instances, and both of those are insane. The first one sees him being dragged by 4 security guards into an isolation ward where he just loses his mind and punches through them literally. The second time is in a similar gory setting where he has killed multiple guards in a room filled with graffiti, where his entire jumpsuit is covered in blood. Our best guess is that his character is one of the experimental misfires of Vought International. They tried to create a Supe like Homelander, got lost in the sauce, and made something they can no longer control. The multiple scenes involving dead guards implies that GU is aware of the problem. This kid is, and he honestly reminds us of War and Peace from Sky High. Whether Calvert's character lives up to the exceptional wordplay that is the name of his primary inspiration, we shall see come September. Victoria Newman. Okay, this one might not end up happening simply because the one time we see Newman in the trailer looks like a campaign picture from her run or the vice presidency, but Claudia Dumit has been confirmed for Gen V like Jessie T. Usher and Colby Minifie, who plays Ashley Barrett from the main cast, so expect her to turn up at some point during the 8-episode run of Gen V. She is en route to becoming one of the politically strongest character in the series after all, and a stop at GU would likely go a long way for her PR team. There's also the Red River connection between her and Marie, which we most definitely expect to come into play by the time Season 4 of The Boys rolls around. So we'll be on the lookout for any interactions between them as well. And last but certainly not the least, we come to the purported star of the show, Golden Boy. Patrick Schwarzenegger's character is set to become Homelander 2.0 or Soldier Boy 3.0 if you want to be technical about it. But one thing you cannot debate technicalities on is the fact that his Jason, aka Golden Boy, is going to end up becoming the perfect foil for Marie Moreau in Gen V. Everything we've been told about Golden Boy in the lead up to Gen V clearly implies that he's a homicidal maniac. When Cameron Cole calls you the bright future of America, you know you need to shift out of America ASAP. Golden Boy's promo material touts him as one of the greatest teenage superheroes ever, who has managed to maintain a humble and relatable personality despite bearing the responsibility of being one of the strongest and most recognized young adults in the world. That is a certain indication that he is stone cold crazy, and we need only see him fire up his eye lasers or fight against what appears to be Marie and her friends shirtless to know that. Golden Boy is said to possess thermonuclear powers, which just feels like yet another shout out to Soldier Boy for us, and we'll tell you why we feel that way. Jensen Ackles' iconic character is going to be making an appearance in Gen V. Whether that is a part of a study material or whether we will get to see him in cryo sleep or whether he ends up being shown in a flashback remains to be seen. But if Season 3's revelations were not shocking enough for you, how about another character that seemingly has the DNA of the manliest man in the world? Suffice it to say, Golden Boy is going to be the perfect bratty foil for Jazz Sinclair's Marie Moreau, and we simply cannot wait for September to arrive at this point. Marvelous verdict. As good as The Boys has been, Gen V has the potential to become huge by itself whilst remaining a part of the greater Crypt Keepers. Story seems to retain the hallmarks of what made The Boys work, whilst adapting it to a younger generation and their struggles, and the trailer looks very promising to say the least. We're counting down the days until the first 3 episodes come out on Amazon Prime, but until then, we want to know, what did you think about the Gen V trailer? Do you like any of the soups we've mentioned in our list? Let us know in the comments section down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Freshman class is savage this year.